Hello, Colorado Realtors. I'm Scott Peterson. Thank you for joining me for another edition of Legal Bites. Now, this is a super unique Legal Bites because and special Legal Bites because, as you guys will see, it's been a long time since we've been back in the studio here at CAR. I've got my monitor. I've got my buddy Monica in the booth over here. Monica, it's been what, since January of this year since we've been in the studio, and you guys have been having to endure me from my basement, from my home office, hunkered down in quarantine and doing a lot of COVID Legal Bites. But I think I'm done with those for the most part. I mean, if things come up, going forward, then I'll try and get there, and maybe I'll keep doing things occasionally from home, because I think we've all figured out that it's pretty darn nice to actually be working from home, and we can actually be pretty efficient and effective there. So stay tuned maybe for more of those, but in the meantime, it is super special and exciting for me to be back here in the studio working with my friend Monica and actually having a board and a panel to work from here. So here we go. This Legal Bites, I'm going to be talking about the new 2021 forms. I can't believe it. We're here in early September. Fall is in the air. Football, I think, is starting here pretty quickly. At least NFL football. College, geez, who knows what's going to happen there. But it is that time of year to introduce to you guys kind of what has happened with the Forms Committee and the Real Estate Commission as they've approved forms that will not be available or able to be used until January of 2021. So we're still a few months away, and these will be available from the Division of Real Estate. They will release at some point, I'm guessing in the next probably month to 6 weeks, all of the red line changes as well as the new forms that we're going to be talking about. But I'm going to spend my time talking about just the two, what I will describe as brand new forms that you're going to get, the new arrows in your quiver, so to speak, beginning January 1st of 2021. So the two new forms are both have to do with manufactured housing. One of them is a manufactured home contract to buy and sell, and the other is a manufactured home addendum to the real estate contract to buy and sell. Let me just tell you a little bit kind of the background of what these are for and how they're going to be utilized by you guys after the first of the year next year. So when we're dealing with manufactured housing, there's really kind of two ways that a property, that a manufactured home can be. It can either be purged or not purged. And in most cases, I would say, manufactured homes aren't actually purged. And what purging means is really the manufactured home is still something that's registered essentially through the Department of Motor Vehicles. It's still a mobile home. And until it's permanently affixed forever and for always to a piece of real estate, it is not purged. So title is not purged from the Colorado Department of Vehicles, or whatever it is. You get my point. The Motor Vehicle Department. All right, so it's the actual manufactured house has a separate title as a motor vehicle from the land itself, and so it's sitting there. It may seem permanently affixed, but often isn't permanently affixed. And then once it becomes permanently affixed to the real estate, it becomes a part of the real estate. The title is then purged from the Department of Motor Vehicles, and it becomes part of the land. But in the case of a situation where a manufactured house the title has not been purged from the Department of Motor Vehicles, it's personal property. It's a separate piece of personal property, and it needs to be dealt with. And you guys as licensees, if you were just dealing with manufactured housing or a mobile home all by itself, well, that's not something that falls within your broker's license. But in most cases, particularly for what I'd say used manufactured homes, there is a piece of real estate. There's a real estate transaction that's associated with that. And that would be in the case of a manufactured home sitting on a leased piece of ground, or a lot lease, essentially. In that case, you're going to be doing a conveyance of a lease interest. So that's a real estate transaction for which you need a license. And so the first form, the manufactured home contract to buy and sell, would be a situation where there is a lease part of a real estate transaction that is being conveyed with the sale of a manufactured home. Somebody owns a manufactured home, it's sitting on a leased lot, you're going to be transferring that lease or doing a new lease, and in connection with that also going to be selling the manufactured home from the seller to the buyer. and handling that transaction. So that first new contract to buy and sell is going to be a situation where just that, you have a non-purged or an unpurged manufactured home that's sitting in a manufactured home park, let's say, on a leased lot. There's the real estate transaction or the conveyance of the leasehold interest from the seller to the buyer, but there's going to be the sale of the manufactured home from the seller to the buyer as well. And so that's when you would use that new manufactured home contract to buy and sell in the case of a lot lease conveyance. All right? And then the other situation would be the manufactured home addendum to the contract to buy and sell. And this would be a situation where, again, you've got a manufactured house that is personal property sitting on a piece of real estate that is being sold. And so for that piece of real estate that you're selling, you're going to use the contract to buy and sell for the transaction between the buyer and the seller. But then you're also going to now attach this addendum to that contract, which is the manufactured home addendum to the contract to buy and sell, and it's going to address the conveyance of the personal property, which is the manufactured home that has not been purged into or purged from the Department of Motor Vehicles and into the real estate. So in a situation where a manufactured or mobile home has been purged from the title's been purged from the Department of Motor Vehicles, in that case, you're just going to do the contract to buy and sell, because then it's permanently affixed, it is part of the real estate, and you don't need the addendum. So those are the two new forms. Now, I'm just giving you an introduction to the forms that were approved by the Commission for implementation into your form set beginning January 1st of next year. This is by no means sufficient for you all if you're trying to perform any of these kinds of transactions. And I would encourage you guys, not just in terms of use of the form, but there's an awful lot of issues that you'll see as you even look at these forms once they're released here in the coming weeks or month or so. You'll see there's a lot of issues that are super unique to manufactured housing. So just because these forms are now available in your form set, I would by no means encourage you, if you've never done a manufactured housing deal, you're still going to have to, have the requisite competency to actually perform that transaction on behalf of a third-party client or consumer. And so make sure that if you don't just assume that, well, these forms are available, so now I can use them and now I can do manufactured home deals. Sure, you could, but you do need to be very, very cautious in terms of making sure you're able to meet the competency expectations as you're performing those. So you will be getting a bunch of new education as the 2021 4-hour annual commission update course. There'll be a lot of education on these forms specifically, but they have been approved and they will be implemented January 1st of 2021. Just very quickly, and I'm not going to get into any details here, there were a couple of additional forms that have been addressed, and these are just what I would call conforming changes, or they were changes to implement non-substantive changes to these forms. And one is the post-closing occupancy agreement. There's been some cleanup and modifications to that. Nothing significant or major, hard to get your head around. Again, you'll get more information on all of these in the 4-hour annual commission update course next year. There's been some changes to the brokerage duty disclosure and the brokerage duties addendum as well. And again, not worth spending time here on because they are all current existing forms that are just being cleaned up, updated a little bit, and nothing that I would call substantive. So those are the set or groupings of forms that were handled by the Colorado Real Estate Commission at their last meeting. Again, look for some pretty robust information from the Division of Real Estate in the coming weeks or month or so, and you will be able to see all of the changes that were made in redline form to the existing forms, and then you'll be able to see the new forms for the two manufactured housing scenarios, the contract and then the addendum. And again, not able to or allowed to use those forms until after January 1st of next year. As always, if you have questions about any of this stuff, feel free to reach out to the Carr Legal Hotline. We've been incredibly busy lately. I think it's a reflection of you guys being super, super busy, and that is great. Listen, make hay while the sun shines out there, and stay busy. That's it. We'll see you next time on another edition of Legal Bites. Have a great one.